Let's welcome in via Google Hangout from Minneapolis, St. Paul, Michael Langley with Greater MSP, Economic Development Organization in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Michael, thanks for being here. I know you were actually recently named on some lists. We all love our list, but you've got the hockey jersey on, the hockey sweater on, but we think of of Minneapolis as a pretty culturally rich place as well. Do you have one identity or the other?
I think you can have both. In fact, I think that should be pretty much every region's goal, because the quality of place or quality of life aspect of successful regions is arts, culture, and entertainment and recreation. So let's face it, sports is recreation, it's entertainment, and it's really a cultural foundation of communities.
Okay, so yeah, does one help the other? Do you see the sports helping the arts and vice versa, or do they pair together?
Yeah, and in our region, they're kind of inextricably linked. The way we're organized as a region, if I'm about right here where I'm sitting in downtown Minneapolis in my condominium, I can walk via by our Skyway system from one end of our city in Minneapolis at the Orchestra Hall and our convention center. I can walk directly through our Skyway system to Target Field where the Twins play, to Target Center where our Timberwolves play, and now with our new stadium being built, the new Vikings Stadium, which is now under construction, we'll have Skyway all the way to the stadium and connections to our Guthrie Performing Arts Centers and other museums and like I said, Orchestra Hall and our the rest of our cultural amenities are all connected. And then by light rail all the way over to St. Paul to the XL Energy Center where the Wild play, to the Ordway Theater. So we've organized ourselves to connect all these great regional assets together.
Okay, so just to back up to clarify, you've got all four major sports there in the Twin Cities.
We say five. We've also got WNBA, and they're the world champions, so we go for that one too.
My apologies. Okay, so we're talking about stadiums and public finance here in St. Louis. Do the people buy in when it comes to where their wallets are there in Minneapolis?
Well, sure. I think the closer those investments are together, like we followed Target Field, the new Twin Stadium, just a few years ago. It opened in 2010, with now the new Vikings Stadium under construction. So you can overplay the investment game, but I think the Vikings Stadium is been funded with both public and private funds. It's pretty much a 50-50 split for that one. And the XL Energy Center is just maybe 5 or 6 years older than the baseball field. So we've had significant investment. In fact, just in the last 5 years, $2.6 billion of sports and cultural amenities investment in the region. But that's producing $8.4 billion of sales for restaurants, for hotels, and for hospitality industry on an annual basis.
And to reiterate, that was paid for. You're paying for things with bonds, with public financing.
It's a mix. The Viking Stadium's about $1 billion investment. Over half of that is the Vikings themselves, and the remaining portion is the state and the city's contributions.
You mentioned transit just a second ago. How does that play into all of this conversation in terms of the success of these franchises and the city?
Well, it's absolutely huge for the future of the region because, as we look at the real pressure on all this is, are we going to attract talented workers and residents to our region to fuel our economy for the future? And it's these transit connections and these amenities, both cultural and recreational and sports amenities, that drive millennials and talented workers to any region. And so we believe that these investments in our cultural amenities and sports are really about talent. It's about the future of our economy and the talented workers that we need in this region. And we want them to love this region, and they do.
We were actually just talking about that very topic here last week. Do the people you're trying to attack, do they want to be a top tier city? And do you buy into that notion at all in the first place, as it pertains to sports?
Yeah, we buy into the fact that there are common denominators that regions need to have to be successful, and this is anywhere in the world, whether it's St. Louis, Kansas City, New York, LA, wherever. The fundamentals. One of the fundamentals is brand and image. How do you feel about yourself, and how does the rest of the world feel about you? And many of these things, whether it's having the best symphony orchestra or having the best football team, all of those things add to your brand and your image. And it's the brand and image that is what attracts people to want to live there, be there, play there, and work there. And so we think it's all connected.
Does being a kind of a mid-sized city make that hard to sustain?
Well, when you think of just Minneapolis or just St. Paul, neither one of those cities by themselves are what you would call one of the largest. But as a region, 3.5 million people, 13th largest metro in the U.S., and a GDP of $225 billion annually. So that's the size of the Ukraine or Ireland or Denmark. So we're a very large global region when you look at the whole metropolitan statistical area. So but even at that level, it's a challenge to understand whether the balance is there for where those investments are going, public investments and private investments. But we've had a pretty good run of it recently.